Hello, it's Denise, Minty Gray Mama, and I just wanted to talk a little bit today about crystals and naming crystals specifically because that's what's been coming up for me and it's something I've been working with. And I don't know, you might be working with it too, so I just kind of thought I would share. So I went to a shamanic retreat workshop type thing at the beginning of this month, May. And I have been using some of the processes that I learned there since I've been back, and I've been using those especially to work with my crystal skulls because I've been working with crystal skulls for just within this last year, so not for that long, but I just really feel like just really connected to my crystal skulls because I've been working with crystals for a very long time and it's a very important part of my life and it has been for a long time. And when I found out about working with crystal skulls, I was super excited, a little nervous, but super excited. And once I started working with them, I've been hooked and I really enjoyed their personalities and I enjoy working with them. And I wondered what is it about crystal skulls? Why do I connect on such an individual and personal basis with my crystal skulls more so than just like my regular crystals that I use for like grids and meditation and stuff like that? And for me, I name my crystal skulls. I know a lot of people that work with skulls do. Like I said, I haven't been doing this that long, so I don't know how everybody works with them, but I know that I do name mine, and I think that helps me to connect a little bit more with their personality. So, for example, this is a Jasper skull, and his name is Jasper, and his little personality is he's just like a fun-loving guy, just really likes being with people. In fact, just likes being with the family, likes being held, and it's just a very calming, like soothing, healing type energy. So a real like people, I want to say people person, but a real people skull. So that's the energy I get from this skull, and it's a very specific like personality. And so I wondered, why is that so different than working with my other crystals, which I've been working with for a lot longer than the crystal skulls. And what came to my mind is that it had never occurred to me, and I'm sure other people do this. It had never occurred to me to name my crystals because they don't have like a little face, or so it never occurred to me to give them a name. And so I thought recently, if I named my crystals, would that help me to connect with them individually and to work with them better? And so what I did was I did like a journeying process, kind of like the process that I had used during this retreat, like the shamanic retreat. And I did a little journeying process and I connected with this skull because ever since I've gotten him recently, like he's just everywhere with me. He goes everywhere. He's just like, he fits in my pocket. And so he's just great. So I did a little journeying process with this guy. And I asked, well, if I started naming my crystals, would that be beneficial? Is it worthwhile for me to do that? Just to see what kind of information that I got back. And what I got back was the idea that naming the crystals is not necessary to work with the energy. So, naming this crystal wouldn't be necessary so that I could work with it. I could still work with it without naming it. Like I still connect with them, by holding them and looking at them and connecting and tuning into their energy. But that naming the crystal could be really worthwhile for me if I did it in a spirit of like fun and playfulness, because that fun and playful part of, picking a name or, coming up with like little personality and stuff like that, that can be very the playfulness of it kind of, I think, helps open your intuition more than, sometimes being serious. Like I tend to be more serious about things and about like meditating with crystals and working with crystals, like sometimes it tends to be a very serious thing for me. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that sometimes, but I think that the fun and playful part of working with these can kind of open up that intuition so that you are just kind of going with the flow a little bit more. And that's what I got from my little question. And so I decided to see what I could get for a name for this one. And I had my some oracle cards in front of me, and I kind of opened myself to this crystal, and I said, well, I'd like to know, if you have a name, there's a name I can call you. And I got the idea, flip over a card, and that's the name of and that's my name, And so I was like, okay. And so I just flipped over a random card and I got balance. And the first thought in my head was, my my regular, thought process, like, oh man, that's a crazy name. Like, that's not going to work. I'm gonna have to pick a better name. Like, that's not a cool name at all. Like, that's, so I decided, what, I'm just going to ignore all that and go with like the playful, like fun part and just be like, yeah, this crystal's name is Balance. And that's the name. And so going with that, I got a little bit more information from this crystal about how I can best work with it and the energy that it's bringing in. And what I realized is this whole time, part of my brain is like saying, trying to direct the conversation, like, trying to rationalize, like, no, it's a quartz crystal and it does this and it has a, double termination. So it's, blah, blah, blah. And you can work with it like this, which is how I work with crystals a lot, to be honest. Like, I, would read the books on crystals and I would absorb the information about what that crystal's energy was, and I would use like those, specific crystals and grids for those specific reasons. The meanings in the books, I would use the meanings a lot that I had learned. And so what this opened me up to is the fact that this crystal might not want to do all the things that it said in the book. Like, everything that it might say, for quartz crystals and blah, 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 and all that, and program it to do this and other things, like this specific crystal might not want to do those things. It might have its own little patterns that it wants to work with and stuff like that. And when I say little, like, I'm not trying to be like demeaning to this crystal, because I don't think that bigger crystals are better than smaller crystals and all that, but that's kind of off topic. But so this crystal might have its own stuff going on. And so what I thought when I'm doing this process is I had my journal down and I'm just kind of writing down the information that I got from the crystal and trying to ignore all the the other dialogue in my head, that's like saying, no, that doesn't, that's not in the book. That's not what that means. It's, kind of different. So it's just been, it really did open me up, I think, to a different way of working with crystals, in a way that is working with the energy of this crystal and not seeing it so much as a tool, like, because that's how I've always worked with crystals, is seeing them as a tool. And not to say that I don't think certain stones, like, Larimar has certain vibes, because I do. I think that, the crystals have, like, in general, like a general vibe, but then I do think that the individual crystals might have certain energies and frequencies that they are working with within their, like, overall, overarching general category, so yeah, so it kind of opened me up to thinking about using crystals instead of just tools that I read about in books and then, use, and like, or, I didn't meditate with them and hold them and work with them and all that. I think is still good, but yeah, it kind of opened me to a more playful way of playing with the crystals and kind of coming up with some different suggestions and ideas for working with my crystals that I think it's going to be really fun and kind of take things hopefully into a good, like working at the next level, kind of a thing. So I'm really excited about that, and I just wanted to share that because I know a lot of people probably already do that. I'm sure that's not a new idea, but some people might not have heard of it, and so I thought, hey, it worked for me. I've done that with a few crystals now, and besides my crystal skulls, like with a few like with skull crystals without faces, I guess. And I think that it's just been really interesting and fun, and it would be fun to try, I think, if you haven't tried it yet. So that was just something I wanted to put out there. It's just, I've been working through so much stuff, and since I've been back from that trip, and it's just one thing that's been on my mind, and I thought that I would share it. So I hope that you give that a try if you haven't already, and I hope you're having a great week, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.